Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live and garden here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. I am really struggling, I will tell you, to get YouTube content onto the channel this year. My life after the pandemic has loosened up, has become really full. Very lovely, wonderful things going on in my life, but very full. And so I apologize to those of you who are anxiously awaiting news from Harmony Hills. But I am here today and I thought I would share with you some wonderful things that are happening in the garden. Today is June 15th, I believe, and we've got lots of things blooming. So let's take a look around the garden for a tour of wonderful things. Starting out here at the Welcome Gardens, the clematis on the lamppost is doing really well. This is a Jackmanii clematis, and they are just super hardy. And well, I don't know about hardiness in terms of zone winter hardiness, but anyway, it's a workhorse of a plant. And this is, I believe, its second or third year in the ground over there. I'm not sure. Most of the blooms seem to be facing the east side, which is interesting to me. So from the front porch, we get to enjoy it more than from the street. And then there are some other things happening here in the Welcome Gardens as well. The spilled wine weigela is finished blooming, but now it is a really pretty color, a dark maroonish, burgundy-ish foliage in a beautiful mound shape. I really am enjoying that spilled wine weigela. And next to that, we've got some Millennium Allium that are currently getting ready to pop out. Lots of buds, and some of the blooms are actually opening today. I imagine in the next 4 or 5 days, all of these alliums will be fully open, or close to it anyway. The dwarf Burford holly is doing really well in this location. This is 2 years old now, and I think it started from a 3-gallon pot or so, and I would say it's about 3 feet tall and about 2.5 to 3 feet wide, and looking really healthy. Let's see. We also have some yarrow. These were things that I started from seed last year, and now they're just really tall and robust and flopping over. So I've got a little bit of a trellis there, just kind of holding it up off of the sidewalk. This is the Summer Pastels mix seeds, and mostly they're white and a soft pink. But here is one that is a little bit more of a brighter pink, or close to purple. And here's Jackmanii clematis. I would say it's about halfway through its bloom cycle. You can see these are the old blooms that were here last week. And yeah, it's doing really well. It is wanting to be taller than I've given it. So I have a plan for that I'll share with you in just a minute. But you can see it came up the lamppost and then flopped over. And now these blooms are actually at the end of the vine, but they're hanging down. This is the tall end of the vine. So I have a plan for giving it a taller structure. I'll share that in just a second. In here, I also have some iris that I transplanted in here. It's just barely getting going. And then these were probably, I want to say these were probably Purple Sensation alliums. I've done a really poor job of getting more annuals out into here. I have lots and lots of options for seeds. Unfortunately, my seedlings have been really mismanaged by me this year, and so I don't have any seedlings ready to go in here. Last year I had Bennery's Giant Zinnias in here, and they did great. I think I'm going to put some seeds out here and just let them be direct seeded and hope that that works this year. On the other side of the sidewalk, I have basically the same plantings with one difference. This is a magenta chiffon Rose of Sharon from the Proven Winners line, and I see buds on it. So hopefully we'll have some blooms on it here before too long. And I do see some of the Millennium Allium popping open now as well. In fact, there's one that's basically fully open. I don't know why my focus is acting funky. Now, the Burford holly that's on this side is a little smaller than the one on the other. And I think that's because the one on the other gets more water. This is at the top of the hill, whereas this one is downhill, and so the water drains down toward it, and I think that's the difference. To give this clematis a little bit more room to be tall and glorious and rambling over a bigger structure, we're going to be putting an arbor here at the front walk. We have it assembled and awaiting installation. This is one that I got off of Amazon. It's about 6 feet tall, maybe no, 7 feet tall. You know what? I'll put the link in the description down below so you can get it if you want it. I've put it together. I just haven't installed it all the way. So I'm hoping that this will be a really nice addition to the front walk. We're going to put it roughly where the yarrow are currently planted. And then that clematis will be retrained up and over the trellis in place of the lamppost. So it'll basically go right there, and I hope it'll be a really nice addition to the front yard. The front gardens are doing pretty well. I've got some things in bloom and some things coming along, and so let's take a closer look. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, though, let's just pan over here to the shrub border on the side. I'll just tell you that so far the deer have stayed off of the plants this spring. However, they're all still very small, but hopefully we'll fill in. Oh, there's one thing over there that I do want to go show you. I left all of my dahlias in the ground over the winter, and some of them came back, but some of them didn't. These came back in a glorious way. Look at this. These are, I believe, 3, maybe 4 plants of HS Flame dahlias. I love the color of the foliage. And look at these happy single flowers. HS Flame. I wouldn't say they're terribly prolific because they basically get 0 direct sun, but they get high shade all day. So they get a lot of light, just not direct sunlight. I don't think they get direct sunlight at all in the day. There's nothing wrong with that, friends. So for a dahlia that overwintered in the garden, they came back really, really well. Down the way, there are some more that came back. They're not quite blooming yet. There's 2 there. The one in the front, you know what? I don't remember what these are. I'll have to look it up. And then over here, I believe this is Gallery Monet. Gallery Singer, one of the 2. With a pretty white bloom with a ivory yellow center. It is taking damage, probably from earwigs. And then this one, I believe, is a Lifestyle. So I'm happy to have those returning dahlias over here. I did take out the 3 Clayera that were here that had died over the winter. And I haven't replaced it with anything permanent, although I did plant Mahogany Splendor Hibiscus in their place, but they're still just little seedlings. So there's 3 hibiscus in there, the Mahogany Splendor type, that will serve for this summer after they grow up a little bit. But I need to come up with a plan for an evergreen structure in that spot. And then the only other thing over here that's worth noting is that I've been working on my irrigation. I finally got my front irrigation all set up and running. So these lines currently run twice a week. I need to get them covered with mulch so that the moisture doesn't evaporate too much. And then everything will be a little bit happier moisture-wise. We've been in such a drought. So let's come back over and take a look at the front foundation. I believe I've put out a couple of videos covering different things in the front, but also I know that I've filmed some videos that I didn't get published because what I'm really running up against in my schedule is time to edit. I have time to film because I'm doing the work, and so I just pop up the camera as I'm doing it sometimes. But also sometimes I don't film anything. I just want to get the job done. But editing is the long pole in the tent right now for me, so I'm hoping to get better at that as the summer goes on, but you know, we're going to just have to see. So anyway, I think I've shared some of the things about the front foundation with you this season, but some things are probably new. And I know, hey, I filmed a video yesterday of planting a bunch of things, so you're going to see those things here. I'll just go ahead and tell you about them now, but there will be a planting video coming up. That's if I can get it edited. So here we are. This is the front walk and the front garden. So let's look on this side first. I don't have anything planted in this spot. These are just wild violets and some returning violas from self-seeded volunteers. My container garden is doing pretty good. I'm fairly happy with it. I do have it on irrigation, and it's got some, let's see, that's probably Snow Princess lobularia and some purple alyssum that I think is not branded. There's some Truffula pink gomphrena, Bordeaux supertunia, and then this right here probably I think is Verbena bonariensis seedlings that volunteered in the garden, and I popped some in there. We'll see how they do. So that container's doing well. It's on irrigation. It's actually getting watered twice a day for 15 minutes because of the drought that we have. All right, and then moving this way, notable things. The foxgloves were beautiful here, but they're finished now, and so I'm going to be letting those dry and let the seeds fall here and hopefully get some foxgloves established in this garden. Here is a ruby star echinacea that I transplanted from somewhere else, and I've put it in here. And then down there, I've got some starts of eryngium, some, I forget which variety, but sea hollies. And so there should be hopefully 3 sea hollies growing there, which may be too much for the space in the future, but for now, I think this year, hopefully it'll fill in over the course of the summer. The fairy roses are near the end of their first gorgeous blush of blooms. This is a polyantha miniature rose type, and it's just so pretty. It's really old variety, and it's very disease resistant. I've never seen it get any sort of disease. I see some yellowing down there, but I think that's drought induced, not any disease problem. The deer do sometimes nibble on the tops of the flower sprays, but for the most part, the deer have let it bloom this spring, and it is very pretty. And then you saw that I moved these salvias. These are Caradonna salvias, and they're on their second flush of blooms, and I'm getting ready to trim that back and let them recover and rest a little bit before maybe they'll put out a third flush of blooms here. My lily trees are going to be blooming probably, I would say, in a week or 2, and we're probably going to be on vacation when they bloom, just like normal, but they will be gorgeous. And once again, I have not yet put in my staking system, so I need to get that done. I think I'm going to try to do that today. We'll see. Everything else over here is in its formative stage, nothing else blooming around this corner yet, so we'll take a look at those things another day. On this side of the garden, another of these pots doing really well because I have been watering it thoroughly, so that is looking good. Knockout Rose has some damage on the leaves. That's probably sawfly larvae leaf damage, but those larvae are probably now sawflies and not larvae anymore, so the new leaves that are emerging are actually fairly unbothered. Let's see, that is a Mary Rose, a David Austin Mary Rose, and it hasn't bloomed very thoroughly this year. I think the deer have eaten a lot of the buds. Smokebush has not bloomed this year. I understand there's something about the pruning schedule for that, which I don't understand, so I'm just going to leave it alone and see what it does over time. This spirea is on the tail end of its first flush of growth, so some of the flowers have moved over into brown. Some of them are still coming out, so it's a pretty, pretty spirea, and soon I will deadhead it, and then it'll flush again. Let's see. Orange Rocket Barberry is just glorious in color. The front porch pots are looking good. They did have a period where they dried out because of a problem with my irrigation system, so I'm hoping they will fully recover. They're still struggling in a few spots, as you can see, like that, and they've kind of, gotten mangled in the center. I think when we go on vacation in July, I'll be trimming these back, giving them some fertilizer, and then hoping that while we're gone, they reflush with some new blossoms for the rest of the summer. And let's take a look around this side of the garden. Again, the fairy rose is on the tail end of its first flush of blooms. It's just about time to deadhead it. You don't have to deadhead it. It will keep blooming over the summer, but I think it looks prettier when you do. But you can see the new buds right there coming up right behind the ones that are currently flowering, and these were the ones that came before. So they just continue to grow this stalk longer and longer and longer and put out more and more buds at the end of the same stalk. So that's how that works. So again, you don't have to deadhead it, but I do like to. Here's an Nicotiana that volunteered, actually two of them in a row right here. These were here last year, and I guess some seeds dropped last year, and so there's one. Here is some Verbena bonariensis that have volunteered. This is where I had some last year. I'm going to let those all grow up and fill in this spot with some nice frothy, tall purple lollipop flowers later in the season. Mini pearl phlox clump here with a pruning courtesy of the deer, but we did get some blooms on it. One of my favorite phloxes. It blooms early in the season as far as phloxes go, and it's really disease resistant, but it's not deer resistant, as you can see. This Caradonna salvia is ready to be pruned back. There was more of the phlox, and the foxgloves were glorious here as well. Everything was looking good. It seems like I'm giving you the tour of things that bloomed last week. Sorry about that. Coming right along are these echinacea. I believe these are all powwow wild berry. They're just starting to open up. I wonder if these are misformed a little bit. I have had Aster Yellow's disease on the echinacea in this spot before. These are new plants, so I'm hoping they don't contract the disease as well from the soil, but we'll see. So, wild berry. This is rose something kisses, summer kisses, sweet kisses, summer last kiss. I don't know. I don't know the name of this rose, but it does have a pretty coral colored flower there. Very nice. And this is a knockout rose. This is a red, and the deer have given me free pruning services on this one. The window boxes are doing great. I did have a watering problem with them, but I've resolved that now. This post that's here needs to be cut off, painted, and then my timer for my irrigation system is going to be mounted on this post here. So that project is in progress, but in the meantime, boy, those Bordeaux really love that spot, and the Truffula Pink are coming into their own as well, the Gomphrena up in there. And there's nothing like that Snow Princess lobularia, or Sweet Alyssum. This side over here isn't as gorgeous, but I think that was a watering issue combined with less sun than this side gets. And then on the other side, porch pot's doing nicely again, and this window box is doing well too. But new this year, you haven't seen this, I've put in some pepper plants out here. I had extras and I needed a place to put them, and this gets full sun, and I haven't figured out my foundation planting system here, or my plan. So I went ahead and put my peppers, extra ones here. This is Cupid, Ancho, El Jefe, Jalapeno. There's a goddess or two in there, so we'll see how these do. And then behind that, I've set up a trellis for some cucumbers. I've got some Muncher cucumber variety and some, what are those, little leaf something or other. So cucumbers coming along back in there, and they'll climb up on there. Now, I was warned to check my soil for lead because our house is 100 years old, and of course the house paint back in the day had lead in it. I was advised that this flower bed that's right up against the house might have lead in it, and so then growing food in this soil might not be the best idea. So I will be sometime, I don't know when, taking a soil sample from this particular garden bed and getting it tested for lead and other things. And then I can assuage any concerns about lead poisoning in the food that I'm growing here. So, you live and learn. All right, the back side of this side of the beds are coming along nicely. These are white swan echinacea that I grew from seed last year, and they're looking very nice. Nice, tall, healthy plants. I believe that's only 2 plants there. It might be 3. Um, and they're starting to open. So those are about 3 feet tall, I would say. And then over here are some echinaceas that I bought from different nurseries. And I'm sorry, I don't know the names of them, but they're very pretty. That's a nice coral pink. And then over here is a double one. I think this is raspberry something or other. Oh, look, here's a name. Here's a tag. What's that say? Double scoop bubblegum. All right, double scoop bubblegum. That's what that is. Then behind it is another dahlia that keeps coming back every year. I keep thinking I get the tubers out of there, but apparently I keep missing a tuber or two. So I've got a dahlia in there. And this is more of that echinacea. And then St. John's wort. This is Hypericum Miracle Horizon. And the bumblebees just love it and are working it all over. It's really pretty. Bright yellow flowers, and then the flowers become berries with the help of the bumblebees. And the berries are ivory colored and then turn a blush pink. So these are really nice for using in cut flower arrangements. And then those lilies coming right along. These are a hybrid between oriental lilies and trumpet lilies. They're called Orion pet lilies, also known by Brex as lily trees. So these are lily trees that I bought from Brex about 6 or 7 years ago, and I think there were 3 or 4 bulbs in here, and they've grown to have all of these stems over time. Super prolific. All right, let's go into the backyard now. But before we go, I wanted to show you I set up a trio of pots here with some things that I grew from seed and some things that I've purchased over the seasons and stuff. This is a begonia with some pretty petunias and calibrachoa in there, some thyme. This is one of the 3 dwarf Alberta spruces that I've had for a while. And these are, oh, something is not doing well, but some petunias. There's a columbine in here that I grew from seed. Back in the back there, I forget what that is, and then some lamb's ear. So just a nice little trio grouping here. And it is on drip irrigation now, so hopefully those will thrive in this location over the summer. And then in the fence pots, I just transplanted violas out of the front containers that I had in there last fall. And I put them here, and they're still going strong. And I think that's because, 1, they're on irrigation, and 2, they do not get any direct sun. So they haven't dried out and they haven't gotten beaten up by the sun. So they're still going. And I love the purple popping against the white fence. I just think it's very pretty. As always, I'll ask you to pardon my mess as we go into the backyard. Evidence of me gardening yesterday is still here today. Surprise! I mean, if it weren't so laughable, it would be embarrassing, but I think you guys have come to expect this from me by now, so here we are. Get this fence taken care of. All right, so this is my hosta shade garden. It's got hostas in there, astilbes, ostrich ferns, hellebores, some Haconocloa grass. This is a big golden globe arborvitae. There's a dark colored snake root there. That's black adder variety. Of course, we've got some pokeweed in there and other kinds of weeds. Some brunera along the fence, and my little green velvet boxwood that I'm not going to prune because I like the shape of it without any pruning on the ends of the leaves. I also put in this year, finally installed the birdhouse that my grandkids picked out for me for Christmas 2 years ago. It had been sitting out decorating the side porch, but now it's decorating the side garden. Everything in here is looking really lush and full and happy. Very pleased with this. I don't think I'm going to go plant by plant to name everything in here, but just give you the general overview. We have taken out the Nandinas that were along the fence back there. And I did put in these coleus into this container These are coleus that I started from seed this year, and I just popped them all into this container, and they're growing big. Look how big those leaves are. Nice. So these are, I think I'm going to move that one, this one right there. That's a frozen margarita hosta. I think I'm going to move it out of that location because it's just crowded in. And this is a Invincibelle mini Mauvette hydrangea. It's got a couple of blossoms coming along. Lots of hostas, lots of hellebores. This big guacamole hosta is just a stunner, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. The Japanese maple that was a volunteer from my friend is shorter again this year because a squirrel tried to sit on it and broke it off. So, what are you going to do? There's my dogwood that we put in together last month, I guess. Astilbe is blooming. This is Visions in Pink, I think. This is a Empress Wu hosta growing nice large leaves. This hosta here seems to have an irrigation problem. That's either that or it got sunburned. I'm not sure why that one is so browning out, but I will be trimming those leaves off and keeping it irrigated and hope that it will recover. Epimedium is filling out and growing as a bigger clump, which is good because I can't find any more of that one. And we've got some hostas here. There's my little mouse ears hosta. I should move it out from under this bigger one. So things are looking lush. The Henry's Garnet Sweet Spire back in there, I think it is suffering from drought, so I need to get some irrigation on it. I do have irrigation lines run in here, but they are incomplete and not working at the moment. So I need to finish irrigating this section of the garden and get it on some timers and keep it going because things like the Sweet Spire back there need more water, and things like this hosta over here that's drying out. All right, and then on this side, things are looking good as well. These don't get as much sun, and they don't get as much water from rain. Not that we've gotten any rain. And so they're smaller. So you can see this guacamole hosta here is the same age as the one right there, but you can see that one is just so much bigger because it gets more sun and more water than this one over here. So that's the difference. And yesterday I planted this Cryptomeria globosa nana. I'll have a video on that coming soon. And so, yeah, things are looking good. Sorry for my mess here. See if I can come down this way without tripping and falling. It's just a nice, rich, full foliage garden. Different textures, different colors. I'm happy with that. I finally got some of my houseplants outside for the summer, concentrating on my succulents this year. So I got the aloe back out here. Here's a pot full of all kinds of just little cuttings that have been put into this shallow bowl, hoping that they will thrive and grow bigger so that they can be rearranged into other pots over the course of time. And this is my rickrack cactus, fishbone cactus. Bought it last year. I think it only had 2 fronds on it last year, so now we're up to what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fronds, 7. So that's progress. These are some of my amaryllis that are over summering, and some new house plants and some dying house plants. And I did pick up a string of dolphins at a plant sale. I'm hoping that that will thrive. So I do have in a bottom row that I could put more houseplants on, and I do have more houseplants that could come out, but I think for now we're going to keep with this and see how it goes. All right. I am very happy with the way the garden is looking from afar. It's very green, very lush, very full. So let's take a closer look at some of the blooms that are happening. Columbine are finished, the irises are finished, but what's happening right now over here is this Daphne. It's just about finishing its blooms. Pretty little tiny white blooms that are kind of insignificant, but they're fragrant, so that's nice to have in the garden here. And then the Endless Summer are just starting to blossom. I have 4 Endless Summer, the original Endless Summer hydrangeas here, so they bloom on old and new wood. And there are 4 of them around the back of the patio here. The 2 over there are blooming purple, and the 2 on this side are blooming pink. So it would seem that our soil is somewhat neutral, because if they're acid soil, they bloom blue, and if they're alkaline soil, they bloom pink. And I've got some of both. Well, that's kind of strange. All right, and there is my Incrediball hydrangea. We'll get a closer look at it in a minute, but it's coming right along. And then this patio garden, this side, I replaced last year all the hostas that were here. I put this Furman's Red Autumn Sage up here instead. And so it's kind of like a ring of fire. I was hoping that this would draw hummingbirds. I haven't seen any yet, but maybe still. That blue that's in the back is Veronica. I don't recall its variety name, but it's looking very pretty against this red. Some of you have asked, what does my candy tuft look like in the summer? So this is my biggest clump of candy tuft. You can see the seed heads that were formed from all of the blossoms. So in the summer right now, it's looking like it's got golden yellow flowers on it, but that's not flowers. Those are the seed heads. And then eventually I will cut those off, and we'll be left with this green foliage that's evergreen even through the winter. And that's what my summer look for the candy tuft is. Twist and Shout hydrangea over here in the corner is blooming. The Visions in Pink Astilbe at the base has finished, but this one is just, it is my favorite hydrangea, this variety. I just absolutely adore it. Twist and Shout. And in my soil, I get pink and purple blooms on the same plant. Again, because I think my soil is right around neutral. So it's not strongly acidic or strongly alkaline. So pretty. Okay, in this front garden space, this is the wall that was built last September. I've got a lot of new things in here. Almost everything in here is new. The white puffs in the front here are Snow Princess lobularia. I'm not doing a great job of keeping them moist, so they're not absolutely covered in flowers, but they're doing okay. And again, this is a brand new candy tuft that I put in this year. So it still has actually a couple of blossoms on it, but it has gone to seed. And the foliage on this is much more immature than that big clump up there. So, but it will eventually end up looking like the larger clump that I have up the way. So I've got lots of clumps of that candy tuft spread across the front of this garden. The star of the show right now is this hydrangea, which I believe is Firelight Tidbit, if I'm not mistaken. My memory might be incorrect there, but whatever it is beautiful, and it has a cousin across the way, and that one isn't blooming as early as this one, so this one just gets that much more sun to bloom just that much more early. Also in here, I have put some Alstroemeria. I took one basket of Alstroemeria and divided it in half, and so it took a lot of shock to the root system. So this one is really struggling, but back there is a better clump. Next year I won't have to stake it, but for now I'm just trying to keep it off the ground. I do think that the rabbit that lives in our garden is helping itself to the leaves at the base of these stems. So it's buyer beware on Alstroemeria for the garden. So down on this side of the wall, this hydrangea is coming along just slower than the one on the other side of the steps. I have, this is an iris, not an iris, a lily. This is Editha lily, rose lily. It's a double flower. And it's looking pretty chlorotic here, so I think I will find some sort of fertilizer to give it some iron I know that on Garden Answer they talk about chelated iron as a way to fix chlorosis. So I don't know if I need that because I don't have high pH soil, but anyway, it needs some sort of nutrients there. So, and actually the hydrangea looks like it could use a shot as well. And then these annuals were, well, they still are, violas that I put in. They're just about ready to come out. In fact, I should take them out. It would look better if I did. And again, what looks like ivory or beige colored flowers are the seed heads from the candy tuft. The Veronica is looking really pretty. It's about halfway through the bloom spikes of the original blooms, and so they're putting up side blooms now. These have been covered with all manner of insects as pollinators. So, and I do love the look of the red autumn sage with the blue Veronica. So I'm very happy with that color combination. And the pink of the hydrangea fits right in my opinion, as well. I'm very happy. This has sort of become a jewel tone garden in that regard. So I think I will keep up that scheme of jewel tones in the garden in this garden bed. Incredible hydrangea just starting to form its big incredible balls. Some of them are a little further along than others. Those will eventually round out and become just gorgeous big puffy balls. The vegetable garden is in a mode of transition at the moment. Peppers here on this front corner are doing really well. They all have flowers and peppers on them already. So that's good news. The potatoes are doing okay. A squirrel had dug up 2 or 3 of these red potatoes and mangled some of the plants. So I'm hoping to keep them going so that they can form a nice crop of red potatoes for me. The white potatoes are doing better for some reason. The squirrels didn't bother those. So these plants, I would say, are about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. They have not yet gone to flower, although over here I did see the beginnings of flowering on the potatoes. Sorry about the bad focus. I don't know why my camera's being squirrely today. So hopefully these will produce a nice crop for us. I'm just going to guess go randomly around here. These are Brussels sprouts, and they have not yet started to form any sprouts on the nodes of the leaves, but I'm hoping that they will. Got 4 plants here, and the front 2 are nice and tall, and the back 2 are much smaller. I think that's a shade issue from the big front plants and the potatoes. Let's see what else. I've got this is a cucumber. It's supposed to be a bush cucumber, but it sure does look like a vine cucumber to me. So I'll probably put that on some sort of support. And I've tried to seed some more bush cucumbers right here, but the seeds have not germinated. So I don't know if I have bad seed or if they haven't been staying moist enough. Here are some green beans, 3 different types of green beans, and the slugs and earwigs seem to really enjoy the middle kind, but not the outside kind. Either that or the rabbit got them. Not sure which. This is the tail end of the Komatsuna Japanese greens. They have gone to flower. So at this point, I'm just enjoying the flower and the foliage. I'm not eating off of this anymore because they've really gotten pretty bitter. But this is a great green, and I will definitely be growing more of this. This was a free seed from Baker Creek, and I really enjoyed it. And it performed much better than the bok choy that I tried in the same season. And tomatoes over there, they're doing well. Got them staked up. These are Brandywine, so my stakes are too short, I know. I'm going to need to put in taller stakes here for them. But I do have some tomatoes forming. So that's good. And then, so I've got 2 Brandywines here, and then this is Roma tomato. Got 1 plant of that, and it is setting fruit as well. My sugar snap peas are just about done. The peas that are left on there have gotten really fibrous and are not really tasty anymore. So I think I'll be taking down these plants and planting some pole beans on this trellis very soon. Broccoli. I really enjoyed having this broccoli plants here. I have 4 something, I don't know, 3 or 4 plants. And I've gotten a lot of harvest off of all of them, and I should harvest that today too and toss that in my salad for lunch. Broccoli was good. I have a little bit of lettuce coming along there that I could be eating, and I have beets over here that are forming, slowly forming. I really don't know what this is. It sure does look like sage, doesn't it? But I don't recall planting anything close to sage seeds over here. So, anybody know what that is? I don't know what that is. I have some pole beans coming along in the center section here. And there's some more of that. I just don't know what that is. And lettuce. This romaine lettuce has bolted and gone to seed. I could take that out now, I guess. And my spinach bolted, and my kale. This is lacinato kale. It is getting eaten by something, but it hasn't bolted yet, so I could be harvesting that. And my beautiful cabbages, when we stand back, aren't they pretty? Such a pretty little row of cabbages, but they're totally being decimated by cabbage worms. So I'm not going to be harvesting these at this point. They're just egg masses. Every time I go down inside here and try to pick off the outer leaves and save it, I keep finding more and more egg masses like that. So I have just resigned myself to not having these cabbages as harvest, and in the future I'll need to use either a floating row cover or some BT spray or powder or something to keep the cabbage worms at bay in the future. As always, this tour is turning out to be longer than I expected. I thought I was going to be able to just quickly show highlights. I can't. I'm way too long-winded. I think I know this about myself, so I hope you're enjoying. Keep on going. We've got the rest of the backyard to look at. Let's come on down this way. My little pathway garden back here, my walled pathway, is somewhat working. This is Let's Dance Rave hydrangea that I used to have behind the deck down at the bottom of the yard. It's blooming nicely. I do have some grooming on it that I should do to make it look a little nicer. But that's pretty. Bachelor's buttons and larkspur. There's going to be a prettier view of all of this from the front here in just a little while, but these have really done well. This larkspur was seeded, direct seeded in the fall last year, and it came up in about 3 plants worth. But all of these flowers are coming from those 3 plants, and I just love them. And then these bachelor buttons are ones that I did from seed this spring, and they fell over, and so I've corralled them, and so they look like a mangled mess, but oh my goodness. They're so pretty and happy, and I love the colors, and I love all the pollinators that they just make me so happy. Look at those colors. Contrastingly, the larkspur does have some pollinators on them, but not nearly as much as the bachelor's buttons. All right, and then behind the larkspur, I've put some stock, which are growing. And as soon as the larkspur is done, I will cut it down, and the stock will have more sun, so it can grow a little bit faster. And then I've got tomatoes on the fence. This is carbon tomato, and it seems like it's indeterminate. Sorry, it seems like it's determinate because it has stopped growing taller, and it's really focused all of its efforts on these flowers and tomatoes right here at the top. So I don't know if that's normal for a carbon tomato or not, but both of the plants have done that. Might be able to see it better from this side. This is a plant that split into 2 leaders, and it grew and grew and grew, and then now it's not putting out any more top growth. So I don't know what's going on with that. This one is also carbon, and I do see now that it is still growing at the top. So I don't know what happened to the one on the right. It's growing differently. And let's see, I have some Painted Lady pole beans that I've put on here, and they're struggling, but they're still haven't given up the ghost. And then down this way, this is, I believe, a sun gold tomato. And I've protected the first branch of tomatoes from squirrels using a gauze bag, and I'm going to be doing that on this one today. and probably on this one today as well. And then it's still growing, growing, growing. Sun Gold is my favorite cherry tomato. So sweet. And let's continue to look on the pathway here. Here's the arborvitae that I planted. I've been watering it very, very frequently, so hopefully it won't dry out and die. One of the dahlias that I left in the ground back here came up. It's beautiful. I forget its name. I'll see if I can find it, but it's just so pretty. Love it. And then there's another one down there. I think that's Gallery Singer or Gallery Monet, one or the other. I'm not sure. The lavender is wild and woolly, but beautiful. And tomatoes over here. This is one more Sun Gold. I have protected the bottom branch of tomatoes on that, and I have more protection to do. And it's doing well. And then these are blush tomatoes. And again, I do have some tomatoes to be protecting with the bags here too. These are an oblong style, more like a Roma shape. Hannah, what you doing in there? Hannah. She is not listening to me. So tomatoes are doing okay. They don't get enough sun. If they were in full sun, they'd do better, but they're doing all right. And over here, here's this dahlia. It's either Gallery Singer or Gallery Monet. I think this one's Singer. Echinacea, these are White Swan. Again, these are from seed last year, and they're just starting to open and doing well. Other things are coming along, but this is a Color Spires salvia. I forget which one, but one of the Proven Winners salvias. It's on its second flush. And that cabbage butterfly. You're pretty. That's the only reason I let you stay there. You ruined all of my cabbages. There's another volunteer Nicotiana. This is an echinacea that I grew from seed, but I don't remember which one. And then back in there, that hydrangea is another of the Let's Dance Rave hydrangeas. It used to be in a container. And then here I have three. Which ones are these? They'll come to me in a minute. Summer Crush. There we go. There's one here, one there, and one over there. Summer Crush hydrangeas. Just starting to flush out. Cat's Pajama Nepitas are finished. I need to trim them so that they'll bloom again. Hannah's chasing a rabbit. She thinks there's a rabbit back here. I have a bird's nest in here. I'm going to show you guys what's in there, but I can't see my camera when I put it up here. Are the eggs gone? There were 4 robin's eggs in there, but I guess they're gone now. All right, back here, this is all feverfew that returned from last year. It's about 3.5 feet tall and full of gorgeous blossom, ready to be harvested. Anybody want some feverfew stems? I've got a lot. My can rose, which I didn't get supported properly, so it's growing in an arch from the front up and then down the back. It has flushed and bloomed, and now it is going to flush again. I don't take the right care of this, but it's pretty. Things back here are looking good. I have more work to do to fill out this garden, but for now, I'm happy with the way things that are here are doing. And now looking down this way, it's coming together, but this snowball viburnum, it needs wrangling. Got to take care of that. And this is another of those Twist and Shout, nope, not Twist and Shout, Let's Dance Rave hydrangeas. It's doing okay. My Husker Red Penstemon doesn't like that location. It's too shady for it, so it's stretched all the way out there to try to bloom. And this feverfew has really hidden the glory of my Twist and Shout hydrangea, so I need to do some editing in here so that the hydrangea can be more obvious and gorgeous. And I don't think the bunny's here. I think you scared it away. All right, and we are putting in the grass path here to complete the grass path around to that lower patio. Things in here are looking okay. I've got a lot more development to do down here. Let's come back out this way. Lots of things in an interim state at the moment. Again, the tour of things that bloomed last week. This is my Juliet rose that I transplanted from the front yard into the backyard because the deer were eating it out front, but it did not take the transplant very well. And I only have one stalk on it that's got green leaves, so I hope it survives, but I'm a little bit worried for it. In here, here's an echinacea that is just asserting itself in the most bold way. That's okay. Lots of things coming or going, but not much here right now. My stock, this is Quartet Rainbow stock. I have a couple of them that have bloomed. The rest will be coming soon. These were intended as cut flowers, so I can cut them without feeling bad about it. Back in there, that's a new hydrangea for me. I did it mail order, so that's why it's so small. That's called Elizabeth Ashley, and she's getting ready to bloom. And then I have some Rudbeckia from seed in here that I think this cherry brandy Rudbeckia right over there. This is, I believe, more sea holly, Eryngium, and who knows what else is in here. I've put a lot of seedlings in that didn't survive, so I don't know. My strawberries are okay. I think they've slowed down because of the drought. I've been trying to keep them watered, but some of the ever-bearing strawberries that I have in here aren't really ever-bearing. I have 5 varieties of strawberries, and 3 of them are ever-bearing, and 2 of them are June-bearing. So those are done. We did get a lot of nice berries off of the plants. I would say about 4 cups overall over the course of the season. Basically, we just snacked on them. Back in here, I've got some struggling seedlings of, these are snapdragons. There's some seedlings of foxglove and a couple of other things. So my seedlings and stuff did not do well this year, so oh well. I had good success with snapdragons last season. This season, I mismanaged them when they were small, and so a lot of them got stunted or failed completely. So I'm always learning and always growing as a gardener, trying to grow plants. So, oh well, you win some, you lose some. And the rest of the backyard is looking okay. The Sweet William over here is just about done. It was, gosh, so beautiful. Bloomed for about a month and a half, I want to say. These are biennial, and these plants were given to me by a friend last year as seedlings. So they lived here as green seedlings over the summer last year through the winter, and then they bloomed gorgeously this spring. Most of them are done, but this one right here is still going strong. So pretty. Definitely will be doing Sweet William in my garden again. This is bellflower plant that it got trampled or something. It kind of just all fell apart at the center of the crown, but all the stems lived, and so they're blooming on the ground. I mean, it's kind of a shame that they're all down here on the ground, but they are blooming. What do you see, Hannah? Is there something in there? There's another clump of alstroemeria that I've put in. And then the phlox are done. The lilies aren't here yet. Up here, this fairy rose doesn't look as gorgeous as the ones out front because it just doesn't get as much sun. So it's a little bit more gangly. And there's a gladiola that fell over. And a larkspur, a rogue larkspur here. Anna, what do you think of the larkspur? She doesn't even know it's there. So that's how the garden is looking today on June 15th, 2023. I am I have to say I'm pleased with things. You know, I've learned a lot of lessons over the course of my gardening seasons, and this year is no different. I'm still learning, I'm still figuring things out, and now I know what to try differently next year, what to keep the same. My vegetable garden, I'm going to be transitioning that to different kinds of crops here pretty soon. And let's see, I'm going to be starting some more seeds, both biennials for next year and then vegetables for the fall garden this year. And I might still start some more summer flowers like zinnias that I never really got going this year. Um, you know, but this is the way the garden is right now, and it's representative of what's happening around here. I thank you very much for coming along with me on this tour today. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. I would love for you to put in the comment section down below how your garden is coming along. We've had a drought here, and so that has been a problem. How about you? Are you in drought conditions, or are you in one of the parts of the country that's been getting more rain than normal? It's kind of a topsy-turvy year in a lot of places this year. So how are you dealing with your weather? I am going to end this video now. I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope I'll see you again real soon, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.